The Ukrainian and Russian conflict has become the hot topic of the world. Russia has built up tens of thousands of troops along the Ukrainian border. An act of aggression that could spiral into the largest military conflict on European soil in decades. But what is the actual cause of that sudden attack on Ukraine by Russia? Why does Russia just put behind all sanctions and continue to attack more heavily? Well, it's a tricky question, but in today's video of infomakerify, we will tell you the actual reasons between Russia and Ukraine that insist Russia to finally attack Ukraine as a full-fledged war. We will try to tell you as simple as possible, so as a regular person you will be able to actually know what the actual causes are. We will also tell you what Russia and Ukraine get and lose from this conflict and what are the consequences of this war on the world. At last, we will compare the actual military capability of Russia with Ukraine, not only Ukraine but with NATO also, to keep things fair. So buckle up, because this video will give you the knowledge boost that you never had. So let's get started. The roots of the current crisis grew from the breakup of the Soviet Union. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine became an independent state, formalized with a referendum in December 1991. On January 21, 1990, over 90% of Ukrainians chose the Ukrainian chairman of parliament Leonid Kravchuk as the first president of Ukraine. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the successor states' bilateral relations have undergone periods of ties, tensions, and outright hostility. In the early 1990s, Ukraine's policy was dominated by aspirations to ensure its sovereignty and independence, followed by a foreign policy that balanced cooperation with the European Union, Russia, and other powerful polities. Both Russia and Ukraine claim their heritage from the Rus, also known as Kievan Rus or Ancient Rus, a polity that united several tribes and clans of different ethnicities under the Byzantine Church in the 10th century. According to old Russian chronicles, Kyiv, the capital of modern Ukraine, was proclaimed the mother of Rus cities as it was the capital of the powerful late medieval state of Rus. After the Soviet military aggression by the Soviet government at the beginning of 1918, Ukraine declared its full independence from the Russian Republic on January 22, 1918. After the end of World War I, Ukraine became a battleground in the Ukrainian War of Independence, linked to the Russian Civil War. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Ukraine gained its independence and inherited the third largest nuclear stockpile in the world, along with significant means of its design and production. The country had 130 UR-100 and intercontinental ballistic missiles with 6 warheads each, 46 RT-23 Molodets ICBMs with 10 warheads apiece, as well as 33 heavy bombers, totaling approximately 1,700 warheads remained on Ukrainian territory. While Ukraine had physical control of the weapons, it did not have operational control, as they were dependent on Russian-controlled electronic permissive action links and the Russian command and control system. In 1992, Ukraine agreed to voluntarily remove over 3,000 tactical nuclear weapons. Following the signing of the 1994 Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances among the US, the UK, and Russia, as well as similar agreements with France and China, Ukraine agreed to destroy the rest of its nuclear weapons and to join the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Russia remained Ukraine's primary market for ferrous metals, steel plates and pipes, electric machinery, machine tools and equipment, food, and products of the chemical industry. It has been a market of hope for Ukraine's high-value added goods, more than 9/10 of which were historically tied to the Russian consumer. With old buyers gone by 1997, Ukraine had experienced a 97 to 99% drop in production of industrial machines with digital control systems, television sets, tape recorders, excavators, cars, and trucks. At the same time, and in spite of the post-communist slowdown, Russia came out as the fourth largest investor in the Ukrainian economy after the US, the Netherlands, and Germany. In 2002, the Russian government participated in financing the construction of the Khmelnytsky and the Rivne nuclear power plants. The overall perception of relations with Russia and Ukraine differs largely on regional factors. Many Russophone eastern and southern regions, which are also home to the majority of the Russian diaspora in Ukraine, welcome closer relations with Russia. However, further central and particularly western regions, who were never a part of Imperial Russia, of Ukraine, show a less friendly attitude to the idea of a historic link to Russia and the Soviet Union in particular. On February 27, unmarked military men wearing masks seized a number of important buildings in Crimea, including the Parliament building and 2 airports. In response to the crisis, the Ukrainian parliament requested that the Budapest Memorandum signatories reaffirm their commitment to the principles enshrined in the political agreement, and further asked that they hold consultations with Ukraine to ease tensions. In mid-March, after a disputed local referendum, Russia recognized Crimea as a sovereign state and proceeded to formally annex the peninsula. 2 days later, the Verkhovna Rada condemned the treaty and called Russia's actions a gross violation of international law. Ukraine responded with sanctions against Russia as well as blacklisting and freezing assets of numerous individuals and entities involved with the annexation. Russia responded with similar measures against Ukraine and its supporters but did not publicly reveal the list of people or entities sanctioned. On April 8, 2014, an agreement was reached between Russia and Ukraine to return intern vessels to Ukraine and for the withdrawal of an undisclosed number of Ukrainian aircraft seized in Crimea. On March 27, 2016, Dmitry Kozak was appointed to greatly strengthen Crimea's social, political, and economic ties to Russia. In 2021 and early 2022, there was a major Russian military buildup around Ukraine's borders. NATO accused Russia of planning an invasion, which it denied. Russian President Vladimir Putin criticized the enlargement of NATO as a threat to his country and demanded Ukraine be barred from ever joining the military alliance. On February 21, 2022, Russia officially recognized the 2 self-proclaimed separatist states in the Donbas, and openly sent troops into the territories. 3 days later, Russia invaded Ukraine. Much of the international community have condemned Russia for its actions in post-revolutionary Ukraine, accusing it of breaking international law and violating Ukrainian sovereignty. Now let's compare the Russian and NATO military power. The credit of this comparison goes to Global Analysis YouTube channel. As you can see, there is a major difference between Russia and NATO forces with Ukraine. NATO forces are much stronger in military, compared to only Russia. But if NATO officially start to attack Russia, then Russia will not alone. China will support Russia both financially and militarily. And then these numbers changed again dramatically. Both parties should show the essence of leadership, and there should be no war. If it didn't happen, mankind became the past of Earth. Because there will be no winners, only survivors.